let's talk about the brand new song from Sum 41 called Landmines, which I've not listened to yet. The band announced that they are breaking up. Their last shows, I think, are next year sometime. I could be wrong about that, but they announced that they're breaking up, but they're putting out one last album and doing, I think, at least one last tour. So that's cool. And I appreciate any band that goes out on top rather than these bands where they just like grind out one uninspired, crappy album after the next. And you're just like, you guys obviously don't have any friends, because if you had friends, they would have taken you aside and said, hey man, why don't you find something else to do with your life, because your band has sucked for a very long time. But not Sum 41. Yeah, like Metallica, exactly. But Sum 41 has never been bad. Neither is Newfound Glory. Both of those bands consistently excellent. Before we check it out, I want to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane with Sum 41 because they have an interesting career, and I'm curious what to expect from this. Basically, they've always had this sort of push and pull between pop punk and metal. That's sort of always been their thing. I'm unsure what to expect here. I like the pop punk stuff better, but let's see. So for anybody who may not be familiar, I mean, I guess we all probably know this song, but just in case you don't. First album, All Killer No Filler, pure pop punk. Yeah, their guitarist was originally a metal guy. That's true. You know it's a 2000s pop punk video because they check all the boxes here. We got the boys playing in an empty pool. I feel like that's just like the default. As soon as the music video director hears the band and it's pop punk and the year is 2001, he's like, got it. I keep an empty pool on reserve just for this. I got you covered. Great chorus. We got all the boxes checked here too. Like right here, the Dickies shants, right? At least two pairs of Dickies shants. Like look at Dave's shants here. Maybe at most like an inch between the bottom of his shorts and the tops of his socks. That's how you know the year is 2000 or 2001 or whatever it is. And then I forget this guy's name. Cone, right? Cone, the bassist. Also got the shorts coming down to like mid-calf length. I need to see more of that. Oh yes, the red, white, and blue sweatband. Also, another staple of early 2000s pop punk fashion. I don't know. I'm not sure where these things came from. I just want to print this photo out. This is going to be my vision board. Every morning I'm going to wake up and meditate. They say that if you can visualize it, you can attain it. Well, this is what I'm going to do. Every morning I'm going to visualize and meditate on this frame. That's what I'm going to do. Anyway, this whole album, as far as I'm concerned, 10 out of 10. Really, really excellent album. It's one of these albums that the longer time goes on, the better it is. You know, at the time, a lot of people thought they were just another one of these pop punk bands, like, you know, they were just a Canadian Blink or something like that. But I think in time, this album has really stood out as, I would say, you know, up there with Enema of the State. I think it's like just legitimately a great album, and it's obviously does have something in common with Blink and those other bands, but you know, they really always had kind of their own thing. Just like, what a great chorus. Dave's solo here. Very unusual for a pop punk band at the time to have a solo like that. So that's the first album, which I think is a 10 out of 10. In the Sum 41 fandom, these days, I feel like this is not the fan favorite album. A lot of people like it. I think everyone likes it. But this is not really the fan favorite album, because after this album, they started to get a little bit more metal. And we all know that people on the internet, especially, you know, let's say nerdy men with beards, you know, they like things. They like their metal. Let's put it that way. Starting with their next album, Does This Look Infected, which got significantly less pop punk and significantly more metal. For example, this song, Still Waiting. For this world to stop hating. Already a lot more, you know, a lot kind of darker. Not exactly metal, but, you know, kind of, right? The riffs. For me personally, this was less good just because, I don't know, I don't like metal in my pop punk. You know what I mean? I want my metal or I want my pop punk. I don't really like them to mix like that personally. However, I do think it's very well done. I mean, no question about that. And, you know, for their fans who are getting a little bit older and a little bit nerdier, I mean, the nerds definitely like this stuff because we know that metal and nerds go hand in hand, right? And I would say their fan base now is almost all nerds, with the exception of when I saw them last year, there was a girl in front of me. She looked like she was probably 32 or something like that. She was wasted and she was just going fucking ape shit, just like singing along to every word, going just bonkers. And her friend turned around, and she was obviously had way too many drinks. Her friend turned around to us and she was like, I'm sorry, it's the first time she's been away from her kids in a while. And I was like, totally cool. I get it. No problem. So their fan base is either that, like elder emo moms, or like nerdy dudes with beards. One or the other. One or the other. And I think the dudes with beards like this one. Their next album, Chuck, got even more metal. For example, this song, We're All to Blame. Almost thrash metal, really. Yeah, like this shit. Very metal. But here we go. The emo hair was starting to emerge. It's true. This is from what, 2004, 2005, something like that. As much as like personally, I don't care for the metal stuff. It was well done. And even then they still had a good sense of humor, you know, like silly, cool videos like this that kept it from being just totally dorky metal kind of stuff. But they kind of lost me as they started to get more metal. The more metal they got, the less interested I was. And from what I understand, that was kind of the tension in the band, is the drummer, Steve-O, who had a lot of creative input on the songs, and Dave, the guitarist, would kind of butt heads a little bit about what direction to take the band. Like Dave wanted to do more pop punk, or sorry, Steve-O rather wanted to do more pop punk. Dave wanted to do more metal, and so there was some kind of tensions there. So that was kind of starting to be an issue for the band. But I think, from what I understand now, this is the fan favorite album, is Chuck, is the one that most people, at least, you know, if you judge by Reddit and nerdy guys in their 30s on the internet, this is the album that most of them seem to like, which makes sense because it's the most metal. And if there's one thing we have learned, repeat after me, if there's one thing we have learned, it's that nerds and metal go hand in hand. Favorite among virgins, yes. If you have ever touched a boobie in your life, you like All Killer No Filler. Anyway, to make a long story short, Dave Brown, the guitarist, the metal guy, quit the band, and they came back with another album. They had sort of lost me a little bit. Not that I thought they were bad, but I don't really care for the metal stuff. And so they came back, I think this was 2008-ish or something like that. They came back with Underclass Hero, which to me was kind of a return to form. Almost felt like they were like remaking Fat Lip in a way, but I thought it was cool. This is what I want from Sum 41. No metal, I want pop punk. It's even got the same kind of vocal cadence and stuff. I feel like it's literally like a callback to Fat Lip. Great chorus. I think this is awesome. I love this album. Super catchy, high energy. Now, I did like this album a lot. From what I understand, the fans don't seem to like this one too much. Again, because, you know, there's sort of common pattern that people on the internet are nerdy men, and nerdy men like metal. Therefore, I feel like this is an album that most of the fans don't seem to like too much. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And then they had this album. I think it's their most recent one. I might be wrong. Screaming Bloody Murder. That was kind of going back to the dark kind of sound again. Right? There's two more. Well, in any case, the point I want to make here is that there's always this sort of push and pull with Sum 41 if you don't really know what you're going to get on the album, which is cool. You know, you don't know if you're going to get something like upbeat and catchy, you know, pop punk. Are you going to get metal? Are you going to get the sort of like, you know, Matt Skiba kind of sound? You don't really know. And I appreciate that. Personally, you know, I always want them to do pop punk again, but I also respect, you know, that they keep you guessing and they try something different, and every album really does kind of stand on its own. I guess there's two more, but I forget. The point is, that brings us more or less to today with their new song Landmines, which I have not listened to yet. Let's see, are we going to get metal? Are we going to get pop punk? Are we going to get something else? We don't know. Let's find out. Okay. Sounds like pop punk so far. I like it. Kind of a callback to the beginning of the Fat Lip video, right? Who plays drums for them now? Because Steve-O has been like a real estate agent for years, right? Frank Zummo. Okay. Sounds good to me. Derek is a very good songwriter. He also wrote it. There we go. Light and Farts. That's what I'm talking about. If the pop punk song doesn't have references to farts or dicks in it, then how is it even pop punk? Farts, boobs, dicks. What more is there to life than that? Lighting Farts sold me on this timeless classic. My thoughts exactly. Road trip pop punk. That's exactly what this is. Road trip pop punk. Solid. Yeah, this is super catchy. Good stuff. You know, this is what you want. You want a band to go out on a high note. You don't want a band to stick around putting out one crappy album out after the next, and you're just like, you guys should have broken up 10 years ago. You don't want that. You want a band to go out on top, you know, you sort of get the sense that this has run its course. We had a great time. This has been awesome, but it's time for us to, you know, to move on to the next part of our life, which I think I support that. You never want someone to stick around longer than they should, like, you know, Chuck Liddell, you know, getting knocked out fucking cold as fuck, like 5 fights in a row where you're like, oh my God, is he dead? You don't want that. So I say hats off to the boys in Sum 41. Solid song, great way to go out. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what they're doing next. Shout out to the boys in Sum 41. That's what I think. If there's one thing we have learned, it's that nerds and metal go hand in hand.